Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you ever know anybody that goes into surgery and the heart or the lungs or the liver, we have no trouble saying those organs.
Yes.
So they're out of surgery. You go to visit them in the hospital. So what happened? Oh, they had to go into my heart. They had to close up my kidneys. They had to, do this, that. We have no problem saying that. Have an operation on your penis and just see how that conversation goes. Just see how that conversation goes.
Exactly.
I don't know how many operations are actually done on that part of the body, but
there's a few, I think.
There's probably a few.
Yes.
Yeah. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, it is. You fit that nail on the head.
It is our connection to you ladies. Dr. Dudley Danoff is on the Funny Spoon with us before. He is the author of the book called Penis Power.
Yep.
Which I have posed with a copy of just to see if people could tell what I was reading.
Yeah, you have. That was fun.
It's a fun title, and it's a great title because it'll get you to pay attention to the book, which has some very, very serious stuff between the covers of it, even though we have a tendency to treat it in a very silly way. Dr. Danoff is a urologic surgeon. He's a men's urology expert. He's the founder and president of the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center Tower Urology Group in Los Angeles, and he's a best-selling author. His book is called Penis Power, and April has a bunch of things associated with it that are, connected to the penis.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For example, Alcohol Awareness Month. Alcohol has an effect on that part of you. Couple Appreciation Month. Well, no question where that has. Informed Women's Month.
Yes.
And National STDs Education and Awareness Month. So all of that, April and sex, myths and truths to keep you satisfied and safe. Let's find out what they are. Dr. Danoff, good morning, doctor.
Good morning, Larry.
Good to hear from you again. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It always tickles me when you talk about the word penis, and everybody giggles instinctively.
Right.
And,
right.
It's my mission. It's a body part. There's nothing salacious about the penis. It's not a pejorative word. It's no different than an elbow or a stomach to a gastroenterologist or a heart to a cardiologist. And yet, the minute I get introduced, the author of Penis Power, giggle, giggle, giggle. So get over it.
Yeah. Well,
Let's get it out of the closet and let's talk sensibly about it.
Exactly. Have you seen this? I've never seen the show, but I've seen clips on YouTube. It's a show called Naked and Afraid. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Well, it's a reality show where people are naked and they're on this island, and I think it's scripted, but they say it's not. But anyway, if you'll notice, they never look down. Like. And I was thinking, if I was on that island, now I'm not gay, okay, but I'd be looking down at men and women. I'd be looking down at everybody. I'd be saying, whoa, yes. I don't see this every day.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that looking down at a man's crotch is a thing of beauty, but
no, it's not. But you know what? I look at frogs.
Except if we're looking at our own, Larry, then
it's beautiful. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? I think that's true.
Yeah, but women like it.
Yeah. Do women really like the way it looks? I always get the feeling that women just put up with it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I would like to agree with you, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I've never heard a woman say that is the most beautiful. Of course, I haven't had that many women. So.
I had a friend who was a urologic surgeon. He was married to a very intelligent woman, and one day we were talking about a condition called hypospadias, which is an abnormality of the penis in which the opening is not quite at the end. It's sort of down the shaft. It's congenital.
Whoa.
And somebody was asking her, do you know what hypospadias is? And she said, yeah, that's a penis that's uglier than most.
Oh! It sounds like a tap. It sounds like you could be a trick. Like you could make a bet in a bar.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. No hands.
Yeah, no hands. All right, so let's see. We have some myths to talk about. What kind of myths?
Well, there are all sorts of myths, that it's a steel rod, that pounding all night is good, that your foot your foot size equals your penis size.
Oh, wow. I hope people believe that. If they do, then they think I'm hiding something really better than I am.
So there's the story. There's the story about the woman that meets the guy in the bar, and she sits down. The guy's got an enormous shoe. They end up spending the night, and as she's leaving in the morning, she leaves him $20. And he says, "What's that for?" And she says, "This is to buy a pair of shoes that fit."
It's terrible. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Old joke, very old joke.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't hear it before, so now I can use it. And people say that's an old joke. So how's that? Where are you right now? Are you in L.A.?
No, actually, I'm attending a family wedding. I'm actually in Las Vegas today.
Oh, in Vegas.
So,
well, what you do there stays there. So,
say that again.
What you do in Vegas stays there. So,
I'm here with my wife, my lovely and charming wife of many, many, many years, and it really is quite lovely. We don't come very often. But it's still an exciting and interesting place.
When a urology doctor says we don't come very often, I don't know how to take that exactly. I'm sure you hear.
Oh, Larry, you're extra naughty today.
I'm sure you've heard that same thing a few times. So let's talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. I mean, that's a serious condition when men just suddenly can't perform and everything, and you see these ads all the time, and my fear when I see those ads is that people are self-medicating, just buying things off of the internet. Is that dangerous?
Well, I think it's very dangerous, and I strongly recommend to any of my patients to absolutely avoid anything that is not approved by the FDA. I mean, we've got a wonderful class of drugs, Cialis, Viagra, Levitra, called PDE5 inhibitors. And these drugs are billion-dollar drugs. They work. They're very, very safe, and they certainly will help a man who's having erectile dysfunction. They're taken orally. They're taken about an hour before you want to have sex. They work only if stimulated. So if you take them and look at the ceiling, as my grandmother said, "Gunished," nothing.
Your grandmother said that? Look at the ceiling.
But they are wonderful drugs. And all of these things that are advertised, make it harder, make it longer, are ridiculous. But they do have the placebo effect. I mean, 40% of any drug, I agree with, this stuff is great in the bedroom, and 40% mentally you think it will. So there's a lot of psychological factors, and the sellers of this junk depend on what they call the placebo effect, that 40% of people who, when told something will work, really think it works.
Yeah.
Well, do people take these, do men take these because some of them are alcoholics and erectile dysfunction happens because of the alcoholism, and instead of treating that problem, they just put a Band-Aid on it?
Well, absolutely. Alcoholism is a major cause of erectile dysfunction, and maybe in early signs of alcoholism, when there's only minimal neurologic damage, these drugs may help a man get an erection, but it's certainly no cure. And the abuse of alcohol is absolutely a no-no for penis power, for sure.
Oh wow! I wanted to ask you something. It's a serious question. I hope you take it that way. When you talk about the placebo effect, but the other drugs, the other medicines that actually work, probably have something in them that comes from nature, comes from a tree or a fruit or something. Am I right about that?
Well, there's a drug that's been around forever called Yohimbine, which comes from a tree, I believe. It's reported to have some aphrodisiac effect. But experiments, in other words, a double-blind study in which one group is getting the Yohimbine and another group isn't, it just doesn't hold up. So rhinoceros horn,
Right. Yes.
Bull gonads, all of the stuff that's in the back cover of Hustler magazine, that is just pure garbage.
Do they still print that?
As I always say, it benefits the seller much more than the buyer, for sure.
Yeah, I bet it does. All right, we have obviously some serious things we should talk about with Dr. Danoff, and if we've been too silly, that's my fault. It is in my contract. On Fridays, I'm supposed to be sillier than normal. So, Dr. Dudley Danoff, we'll take a little break, and we'll be right back. By the way, if you have a question, you are certainly welcome to call and ask the doctor. Obviously, this is a serious topic for many people, men and women. So we'll be right back with Dr. Danoff after this. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
The weather's brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A shower or thunderstorm from late morning on. Otherwise, clouds and some sunny breaks. High 79 to 84. Mainly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm in the evening. Low 65 to 69. Clouds and sunshine tomorrow with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 82 to 86. Mostly cloudy on Sunday with some heavy thunderstorms around later in the day. High 85 to 89. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Steve Travis.
Is your credit headed in the wrong direction? If so, Florida Credit Union can help turn it around. If the signs are reading missing payments, maxing out cards, or borrowing from financing companies, it's time to steer your credit to safety. Pull into a Florida Credit Union today and let us help you map out a personalized credit management plan. Get a free credit report analysis and advice to help you consolidate wisely. A better plan can get you to a better place. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Real estate is the largest and most personal investment that any of us will ever make. Be sure to tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. when Bob Kennedy, owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty, will be answering your questions and discussing real estate. So remember, that's Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Call 622-9622 with your questions. It pays to be an informed buyer or seller. This is news you can use from Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty and your friends here at WOCA.
All right, 17 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I just thought of something. We had this a couple of weeks ago. There was this piece on the internet about the different audio samples. Remember we had some audio samples from Italy?
Oh, yes.
Italy like
that was wonderful.
And they went to the different, landmarks that people would visit, not just in Italy, but around the world. And they would try to get the sound of what that people would make, or the words people would say when they first would see, like the Eiffel Tower, or they would first see something like that. When they would first see the statue of David, you heard a lot of people in many languages, but it was all translated to say, "Oh my."
Yeah.
So when people see the statue of David, they would say, "Oh my." Okay.
Yes.
So with that, I thought, I wonder if they're saying "Oh my" because it's such a great statue, because it's so big, because he's naked.
Yep.
And then I listened to it and I said, "Gosh, every single one of the oh my's was from a woman."
Yeah.
There was not one guy who walked in there and said, "Oh my." So my guess, Dr. Danoff, is that you never say "oh my." You've seen everything, right?
Well, I'm quoted in my book and on my website as saying I've seen more penises than can fill the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I'm way over the oh my factor. But having had the pleasure to seeing the David at the Uffizi Gallery, more than once, it is an oh my statue. I mean, the proportions, the beauty, the sculpted body. I mean, it's really something to behold. I mean, the fact that he's naked, I think, gives a little bit more of an oh my. But I think the whole statue, the whole beauty of it it's got the oh my factor all the way.
That's a good point. So do you think, and this is more of an opinion question, and we'll get to some factual biological questions, but do you think that the male form is not as attractive as a female form because of nature or because of the way we are as a society? Like, are we just not supposed to? I mean, I'm a man, and I'm a straight man, so I guess I wouldn't think that way. But I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I've often wondered about this. Like you go to an art museum and you see a painting of a nude female, not something dirty, just beautiful, and you don't think twice about it. But when you see a naked man, you go, "Oh, jeez." That thing with God touching Adam, it's like, "Oh, yay, this is." All of us came from that little tiny thing, huh?
Well, I mean, look, everything is a matter of personal preference, and I'm sure if you're a gay man, you would find great beauty in a beautiful male body. I think most men and most people think intrinsically that the female shape with its variety, breasts, buttocks, hips, stomach, legs, is intrinsically a more interesting, form.
I think so.
Form. So I vote. I vote more that the feminine body is a more artistically interesting subject than the male body. But one man's opinion.
No, that's not one man. That's a lot of men.
So when men make appointments to come in to see you and they think they have a disease or something like that, how do you make them feel at ease? Like you're there, you're going to help them, and they don't have to worry about you being condescending to them or anything like that. You're very respectful.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, most men want to catch the final touchdown pass at the end of the Super Bowl, and they're all He-Man, and they're very reluctant to talk about any frailties or illnesses. So they often come in and talk about, I have this friend, really meaning themselves. So you have to be very, very sensitive, and you have to listen not only to what the patient says, but what he doesn't say, or how he says it, or what parts he leaves out. Sensitivity is very important if you want to be a good doctor and be able to help a man with, his sexual illness. So, yeah, I'm very, very conscious of that, and I go out of my way, always relax them, maybe tell a little funny story or an anecdote, or you can rely on me. Oh, don't be nervous. I've seen a million of them. And it's certainly true, for example, the way we examine the prostate. It's a very unpleasant examination. I mean, it's called a DRE, or a digital rectal exam. When you can imagine, bend over, take your pants down, I'm going to examine your prostate. I mean, it's terribly embarrassing.
Yeah.
And, one of the things, patients will often say, "Oh, doctor, how I hate this." I said, "You hate this. You have this here. I'm doing this turns today." So that's, So that that's sort of. I mean, there's a million ways that you can do it, but I certainly agree you have to be very, very sensitive and listen definitely with a third ear.
Is erectile dysfunction the number one thing that needs to be treated? The physical thing that you do, I mean.
Well, it's certainly look, if you look at the sale of the drug, the Cialis, Levitra, Viagra drugs, you're talking about, multiple billions of dollars of drugs. So if you look at just the economics of it, it's probably a major illness, in men. But for me, as a urologic surgeon, I think prostate cancer is still the number one thing that we treat and see, and that, that's made great progress. Early diagnosis, assures a cure and is very effective treatment. So every man over 40 should have his PSA and his annual examination.
So when we hear about cancers in general, we're often told that lifestyle may not cause it 100% of the time, but could cause it, like smoking is a lifestyle choice or drinking is a lifestyle choice. Are those same things? Do those same things contribute to prostate cancer?
Well, there are prostate cancer factors. In terms of diet, in terms of smoking, in terms of obesity, and in terms of who you pick as your relatives. So if a male member of your family has prostate cancer, you're 30% more likely than an ordinary person. If you're black, you're more likely to have prostate cancer. If you're obese, you're more likely to get prostate cancer. So there are, a number of factors that we have no control over, and some that we do.
You talk about the golden rule between men and women in the bedroom. I found that very interesting.
What is that?
Well, the golden rule is that you've got to satisfy your partner. I mean, most people say the guy that's got the gold makes the rule, but it's certainly not. It's certainly not true in the bedroom. And it's simple fact. It's a principle. And there's got to be interaction, and we've got to do things to please other people because we want them to treat us as well. So that's the essence of the golden rule. And some say that the best way to a man's heart is slick, and that means, but to satisfy him sexually certainly doesn't hurt either. So, and it's you've got to do to your partner what pleases your partner, because if you're successful in doing that, your partner will in turn please you.
There you go. Makes sense.
I have a nice blog on my website, penispowerbook.com. But that's the essence of the golden rule.
You have a New York accent. Did you move to L.A.? When did you move?
Yeah. My gosh, I was actually born in Brooklyn, and then I was very fortunate enough to go to Princeton as an undergraduate and Yale Medical School, and then trained at Columbia University. But I moved to Los Angeles in the early 70s. But as my kids say, you can take Brooklyn out of Dad, but you can't take Dad out of Brooklyn. So,
I think it's the other way, right?
The Brooklyn out of Dad.
Yeah, right. So one thing I wanted to ask you that I've heard, and I wanted you to maybe help me understand it. I've heard that prostate cancer can be a slow cancer, and if you're old enough and it's caught, instead of taking it out and doing surgery, just leave it alone because you're going to die from old age before you'll die from the cancer. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what you're saying has a lot of truth. We have a big class of patients, a group of patients who are in what we call a watchful waiting group, or we call it active surveillance. So we know they have a prostate cancer. We've made that diagnosis, but it's the kind of cancer that's innocuous. It's not going to grow. It's going to be focal. As you mentioned, it may be age-related. So if you get a focal cancer when you're 80, it's a lot different than getting a focal cancer when you're 40. So, yeah, we have a huge group of watchful waiting where we really don't do any treatment at all. We just keep an eye on the prostate, on the PSA, X-rays, MRIs, and these prostate cancers do not require any treatment. But they do certainly require surveillance because many of those sleeping cancers will activate and become active cancers and may need to be treated. But, yeah, we don't treat a lot of prostate cancer. Purposefully.
When we abstain from having sex, does that actually cause problems?
Well, I always tell my wife it does, but the reality between us, Larry, if you don't tell anybody, no, there's no relationship between that. I mean, you would think that the monks, those who claim to be celibate, would have a higher incidence of prostate cancer if that were true, and in fact they don't.
Yeah, but we don't know what the monks do at nighttime.
Well,
that's the title of his next book.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Sorry if I have any monks that are going to call me. Oh, we got somebody on the phone right now. Oh, jeez. Good morning. You're on the air. You're on the air with Dr. Danoff.
Yes. Good morning, doctor, and everyone.
Good morning.
In the works, are there any blood work going to be to replace the PSA in the future that would be more reliable?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Say it again.
The PSA test, blood test, are there any other newer blood tests in the future that would be more reliable than the PSA?
Well, there are lots and lots of blood tests out there that portend to replace the PSA, but at the moment, there's nothing on the horizon. The PSA is not a perfect test. There are lots of things that elevate a PSA. Unfortunately, one of them is prostate cancer. We have a PCA3, which is done with prostatic fluid, which will corroborate an elevated PSA. But to date, and certainly on the immediate horizon, there's nothing better for the early diagnosis of prostate cancer than PSA. Again, emphasizing that it's not a perfect test, and it needs to be interpreted, and there are many factors, but unfortunately, one of the things that make PSA abnormal is prostate cancer.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good question. Yeah. Well, Doctor, you're always a great guest. The book is very informative, and it is a giggly topic. But guess what? When you have the book, and you're looking at the book in your office or in your home, and there's nobody else to say the cover, and say, "What are you reading?" Well, it's called Penis Power. But the truth is, you're going to understand this one organ that we don't want to talk about. Well, there is another one, but you don't own it.
Well, I try to be medically factual, easy to read, and certainly a little tongue-in-cheek and a little humor. You have to have it when talking about this subject.
Penispowerbook.com is the website. Dr. Dudley Danoff, always great to have you on. Have fun at the wedding in Las Vegas, and you're always welcome anytime.
Larry, always my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. An Ohio man accused of planning to kill U.S. soldiers appearing in court today.
After